Hello, good morning or good afternoon everyone. So today we're going to be learning about the percents of increase and decrease, or percent of change. So first off, percent of change is the percent that a quantity changes from the original amount. So we're going to be looking at the changes, the percent of change in an amount of, in a quantity. There you go, in a quantity. All right, so percent of of increase. And I'm sorry if my voice is sounding really funny because it's early in the morning, so that's why. So percent of increase is when the original amount increases. Hence why it's called percent of increase, which means the percent went up. So when you're trying to find the percent of increase, you need to just put the, the formula for that is you take the new amount subtracted by the original amount and then it's divided by the original amount. Right now it just looks like new amount, original amount, and it just looks like a bunch of words to you, but once we do the example, you'll see what I mean by this. But the percent of increase formula is the new amount minus the original amount divided by original amount. Okay, the percent of decrease is when the original amount, you guessed it, decreases, and when it goes down. Okay, so the formula for that is the original amount subtracted by the new amount. Okay, so let's look at our first example. The table shows the number of hours, right here, this table, you spent online last weekend. What is the percent of change in your online time from Saturday to Sunday? Okay, so let's first look at the chart. So on Saturday, supposedly you spent 2 hours online. And then Sunday, you spent 4.5 or 4.5 or 4 5/10 hours online. Usually, if you read this out loud, it would be read as 4.5 because 0.5, as you remember, is half. Okay, so you spent 2 hours on Saturday and then 4.5 hours on Sunday. So from 2 to 4.5, we have to think, did the amount increase or did the amount decrease? If you're going from Saturday to Sunday, the amount went up, which means that the amount increased. So since the number of hours on Sunday is greater than the number of hours on Saturday, the percent of change is a percent of increase. Okay, so since it's a percent of increase, we need to use the formula for percent of increase, which is this one right here. So we're going to rewrite it again so we can remember, because this is something new, so we need to master it, and by mastering it we got to write it down, we got to practice it. So percent of increase equals out to the new amount subtracted by the original amount. All divided by the original amount. So let's see how that looks with the numbers that we have right here. So for Saturday, you have 4.5 hours, or 4.5 hours, I'm sorry, that's not Saturday, that's Sunday. That's your new amount, right? From Sunday, you had 4.5 hours online, so you have 4.5 minus the original amount, which is 2 hours. So 4.5 minus 2, all divided by the original amount, which is, again, 2. Okay, so 4.5 minus 2, you can do a quick one right here. Bring down 5 minus 0 is 5. Bring the decimal down. 4 minus 2 is 2. So you have 2.5 divided by 2. Okay, so remember, the numerator is divided by the denominator. So it's 2 2.5. So since there's already a decimal there, we bring the decimal up. 2 goes into 2 how many times? Once. Bring down the 5. And don't mind if you hear noise in the background. Again, people are sleeping, or they're they're getting ready to start their day. Anyway, back to the math. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bringing down the 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. Okay, so we're left with 1 and 25 hundredths, but that's a decimal. We need to find the percent. But if you remember from our last notes, the easiest way to do this is you just got to move the decimal 2 times to the right. So if we move our decimal 2 times to the right, it's 125%. And that's it. That's for your percent of increase.